Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Welcome. Yeah, are you guys able to hear my voice? Okay, is the voice okay? Okay, cool. Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back. Good to be seeing you guys again. Welcome. So we will just give another couple of minutes as we always do for folks to join in. Is my mic okay? Just type in yes in the chat if you guys are able to hear my voice fine. Okay, yes, you're audible. Yes, okay, got it. Okay, cool. Probably give another 1 minute before um, folks can join in. Yeah, we already have a lot of folks joining in. Amar, Mahir, hey guys. Anuj, hi Madan. What's up? What's up? How you guys doing? How was your day? Yeah, but just thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in on a Tuesday afternoon. Vivek says hello. Hi Vivek. Um, yeah, let's just give probably another 1 more minute before folks can join in. But just wanted to set the context for the stream today. Of course, you guys would have seen the thumbnail. I see a bunch of folks who are regularly joining my stream. So definitely appreciate that. Yeah. But yeah, this stream we'll be talking, we'll get started to talk about blockchain from a technical standpoint. For the last couple of streams, we talked about blockchain tech in general and how, cryptocurrencies. We also talked about, looking at cryptocurrencies from an investment perspective. So that we did a stream on that as well. So yeah, so we'll get started with today's stream. We'll talk about blockchain technology from a technology perspective, right? Looking at blockchain from a technical standpoint. So we'll do that. Besides that, just let me guys know how. What do you guys think about blockchain from a technical standpoint? What do you guys know? What are you guys familiar with? Are you guys already um, learning the blockchain tech, learning things like Ethereum, Solidity, Web3 development, and things like that? Just post in the chat what you guys have already been doing. Meanwhile, just probably give another few seconds for people who are trying to tune in. All right. Vivek says he's learning. All right. What are you learning, Vivek? Is there anything specific that you're learning? Are you trying to learn about blockchain in general? Is it the Bitcoin blockchain? Is it Ethereum development using Solidity or things like that? What are you exactly learning? I definitely love to know what you guys are learning. Also, yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm also learning a lot of things in the Web3 space, in the blockchain domain. Um, Currently, I'm just trying to learn about oracles and decentralized oracle networks. Uh, that's a pretty interesting topic. But mostly, I just spend most of my time learning about token engineering and DeFi tokenomics. Right. So that's I plan to do a series of streams. Specific to tokenomics and token engineering. That's really an interesting field if you guys are into decentralized finance and things like that. But yeah, Mahir says a beginner, like blockchain in general. Yeah, definitely blockchain in general. I think everyone who is enthusiastic about the space, there's a lot of things to learn in the basics of blockchain, right? Starting from cryptography, economics, and math. A lot of things involved in blockchain. If you just look at the Bitcoin blockchain, it's a lot of things that you can just do. Um, how do you guys, prefer learning blockchain or any other technology? So for me, I mostly prefer books. I mostly prefer watching videos and yeah, courses. But yeah, I sometimes go about studying source code in people's projects and whatnot. But yeah, mostly I prefer reading from the textbooks and things like that. So whatever I read off of textbooks, um, I love making courses. So I have some experience making courses for Udemy um, and things like that. So Nikita, hi Nikita, thanks for joining. Good afternoon. Vivek asks, is there any books about blockchain? There are a ton of books about blockchain. 5 years ago, if you wanted to search for any good textbook about blockchain, people were still starting to write about write good stuff on blockchain. So that was a rarity back then. But now there's a ton of books about blockchain. One of the books that I would recommend you guys can start with, if you're trying to get yourself familiarized with Bitcoin and the blockchain tech in general, you can get started with this book called Mastering Bitcoin, which is by Andreas Antonopoulos. I can even show you that textbook before we get started with our session. Let me just quickly show you the book I'm talking about. Right? Mastering Bitcoin. So this is the book. This is the sorry, this something else. Yeah, it's the book. Mastering Bitcoin, and this is one of the greatest books if you're starting about learning the fundamentals, learning the basics. Let me just quickly post this link on the chat as well. If you guys just to make it clear that this is not an affiliate link or something. If you buy this book off of this link, I won't get any commission or something. I just wanted to help you guys find the book. So yeah, if you want, you can buy the Kindle edition as well. If you're, if you just want to read the digital version. So I prefer Kindle edition for most of the textbooks. I don't know, but yeah, there's paperback as well. So this is one of the best books I've read about the fundamentals of blockchain. So Nikita has a question. What does a blockchain do? Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that, Nikita. What does a blockchain do and why someone should care about blockchain and things like that. But yeah, so I'm just giving you guys a kind of a refresher on how you can get started. And so Mastering Bitcoin, this is one of the best books I've read about Bitcoin. It covers all kinds of things. So even if you just take a look at the the table of contents, and I can just see it talks about general stuff on how Bitcoin works. It talks about Bitcoin core, the reference implementation, keys, addresses, wallets, transactions, Bitcoin network, blockchain, mining and consensus, Bitcoin security, blockchain applications, Bitcoin white paper, and yeah, definitely a lot of things that you can get into deeper hands with. So yeah, can you introduce what is blockchain? Okay, so before we talk about blockchain, from a technical standpoint, before we dive into the technical aspects of blockchain, let's just quickly talk about why you need to study or why you need to know about blockchain, right? So probably it will be a good idea if I open up diagram here, probably draw some diagram and then show you guys what exactly is the difference between blockchain and any other systems that exist. So but yeah, just right off the bat, I just wanted to tell you guys that blockchain is nothing but just a decentralized and a distributed database, right? This is all that you need to remember from the get-go, right? So let me just name this blockchain basics. If you want, at the end of the video, we'll probably also be able to how do I start off? Yeah, turn off the grid. So yeah, so let's talk about traditional systems before we talk about blockchain. So in this, so the context for this stream or this session is we just get introduced to blockchain, right? We don't dive into deep technical stuff about blockchain. We just get introduced to blockchain. But yeah, I know people will be waiting to learn a lot about technical aspects of blockchain, how each and everything works and all that. But we'll not dive that deep into how each and every piece works, but we'll just get a basic glimpse of what is a blockchain and how the technology looks like and why you need to care about learning blockchain. So let's just talk about traditional systems. So in traditional system, what we basically have is, we have a server, we have a database that sits here. If you guys are from a technical background, I mean, definitely if you're learning blockchain from a technical standpoint, I am assuming that you already have some experience or probably studying something from the technology or the computer science domain. So I'll probably explain this in terms of someone who understands software architecture and then already has some familiarity on how traditional systems or existing systems work. And probably we'll be just talking about things like client server architecture and things like that. So probably just do a small diagram here on on what it looks like. So and then there we can do a mobile app here, right? This can be an app, and this can be user 1, user 2, this can be user 3, this can be user 4. So there are a lot of users, right? So let's just call it user n. Let's call it user n. What is blockchain gaming? We'll definitely talk about what blockchain gaming is. So when we talk about blockchain, blockchain so far, whatever the applications and use cases have come up, it's mostly for in an economical standpoint, right? So if you look at blockchain games, let's talk about blockchain gaming later on. So we'll definitely come to that question. I'll keep a note on your question here, Amar. We'll definitely address that. We'll talk about blockchain gaming. Just give you a brief intro on what exactly it is. Nikita asks, what is blockchain with example? Yeah, first let me give you guys a context or a clear picture on how blockchain is different from existing systems, or what is the technology like. And when I just said that blockchain is decentralized and a distributed database, but I just want to blockchain is a decentralized database. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. It's probably is there a way I can zoom into this? I don't know. Yeah, I'll just leave that there, probably in text, and I can say, blockchain is a decentralized and distributed database. That's all, right? So that's all. You just need to, if you understand the statement, you pretty much know how it differs from existing traditional systems, which is a client-server architecture. So let's say this is like a Facebook app, right? We have a bunch of users who are trying to use the Facebook app. And this app is obviously connected to, this app is connected to Facebook servers, and Facebook servers are connected to databases, right? So this is how, in a brief overview of how exactly existing traditional systems work. If you open up any application like Facebook or Twitter or anything that you use, right, under the Airbnb or any dating apps, social media websites, any news app or anything. So what essentially happens is there are users, you guys are users who are trying to connect to the Facebook app. You start using the app. What happens is the app connects to the Facebook server. This can be on a web browser. This can be a web app on a web browser. Or this can be a mobile app on your Android phone or your Apple operating system. This can be any kind of application, right? This is the client side. So it connects to the Facebook servers, and Facebook servers stores data in databases, right? So so when we talk about database, this is just, it can be any of any scale, right? It can be multiple data centers, it can be just one server or whatever. But in this case, Anuj has a question: what is blockchain ecosystem? So we'll just eventually get to the answer of that question, Anuj. What is blockchain ecosystem? But let me just establish a clear-cut difference between what is the traditional system like, and what's the difference between the traditional system and the blockchain system, right? So Harshit, thanks for joining. The question: blockchain is nowadays a trending technology. Yeah. So blockchain is a pretty fresh and a young technology. I say this because the first time any successful blockchain came into existence was back in 2008, 2009. That was when the Bitcoin blockchain started. So it's just been around just over a decade of probably like close to 1.5 decade of having blockchain technology, right? So there are a lot of people trying to do a lot of research and development in this area, trying to come up with applications that make use of blockchain in the best possible ways and whatnot. But yeah, so this is how the traditional systems look like. But in this case, what controls all of this is, so let's say, I mean, this is just an example, right? I'm mentioning about, I'm not saying that Facebook controls everything, but all these things come under, I don't know, can I send this backward? Okay, yeah, I am able to send this backward. Send backward, send backward. Oh my God, okay. Clearly shouldn't have done this, but okay. Yeah, so whatever the ecosystem there is, all this is controlled by Facebook. So for example, there's Facebook app, Facebook servers, Facebook databases that Facebook uses. All this is controlled by Facebook, which means it belongs to a centralized entity. It belongs to a company. It belongs to a corporation, right? So it means if they want to delete anything off this database, they can easily do it, right? So that's how a central traditional database or a central traditional client server system works. So this is good. This is good for all the use cases where a company is trying to provide you a service. In this case, Facebook is a company which tries to provide you a platform for all the users to socialize, and they are monetizing it with ads and whatnot. But yeah, this is good for all these use cases where there should be a company tries to maintain or own the data that it has, right? So this is a traditional system. So what happens in the blockchain system is, let me just delete everything, and let's say I have a user. Let me just keep it really small. I have a user and I have, let's make a square. I'm really bad with diagrams, but yeah, please bear with me, guys. I'm just trying to make it really simple to explain to you guys. And we have a database, right? So this database is going to sit inside this. It's a computer, right? Say this is right. This is an internet user, and this is an internet user, and this is a computer. And let me just quickly, and I'll just connect both of this. This is blockchain database. Let's just call it database. Right. So make this bigger. Not that big. Let me just make this smaller. Yeah, hope you guys can see this clearly. So what happens is we have multiple copies of this, right? Oops. Yeah, it as well just like that, right? So let me just quickly connect everything, and we can talk about all these things in a bit, right? So it's connected to this. This is also connected to this computer. So again, connected to this computer. This computer. This is again connected to this computer. This can be connected to this computer as well. This can be connected to this again. So yeah, it's really bad. Okay, let me just do quickly normal arrows, right? Yeah, so probably I'll connect this to this, and this, this as well. And let me do this to this computer. And this. Yeah, I just wanted to depict a diagram where all the computers are connected to each other. So this is how the network looks like, right? So there's no server where the app makes a request and things like that. So this is when I say blockchain is a decentralized and a distributed database. So Madan has a question: what are the advantages of a blockchain? We'll definitely talk about what are the advantages of a blockchain. If there is an architecture like this, what are the advantages of having a database which is decentralized and distributed in this manner, and versus what happens when you use a centralized normal database that you use that you see in applications that are in the that we daily use, right? So yeah, this is how a blockchain ecosystem looks like. Anuj, coming back to your question, what is a blockchain ecosystem? So technically, a blockchain ecosystem has users, and you can have computers which hold the blockchain database. So let's just call it, instead of calling it internet user, let's call it Anuj, and let's call it probably Madan. Let's name this guy Nikita. It's probably Nikita. Let's name another Amar, and we have Vivek, and I'll be a guy as well. Let's name this Ajay, right? So let's say Anuj has a computer and he wants to make up this blockchain along with everyone else. So how a blockchain works is it's a network of computers which run this decentralized and distributed database, right? So let's say Anuj is trying to be part of the blockchain network. He has a computer. He can run a software on his computer that basically facilitates all the blockchain operations, right? And inside the computer, it has a blockchain database where it maintains a ledger of all the transactions in this network. So there are two things, the computer software that runs the blockchain network, and also the database which sits along that software, which holds a list of, or holds the record of all the transactions that you see. It's sort of like a technical database. If you're familiar with a MySQL or a MongoDB database, it's similar to that, except that it nobody can modify or delete anything off of it. You can just keep on adding things to that database. How do we get access to blockchains? So yeah, so when we talk about getting access to blockchains, there are quite a lot of different ways. So you can either download this blockchain client software and then be part of the network. You can just download, if you don't want to run the full blockchain yourself, you can still download just a wallet software and then start making transactions on the blockchain, if that's what you're talking about. There are a lot of different ways. We'll get to that, Harshit. But yeah, so basically a blockchain is a network of computers that run this decentralized and distributed database software, right? So I might as well add that here as well, right? So blockchain is a decentralized and distributed database software, right? So and to make this more precise, is a network decentralized and distributed database software, right? So each user, Anuj, Madan, Nikita, Amar, Vivek, and me, all of us, if we want to, use the blockchain network, we connect to the blockchain. We run this software on each of our computers, and then each of our computers. So let's say Anuj. So let's say this is a Bitcoin blockchain. So let's just go with one example, right? We can consider this as a Bitcoin blockchain. We can consider this as a an Ethereum blockchain or whatever. So the fundamental concept is the same, right? So let's consider this is a Bitcoin blockchain. Right? All this is a Bitcoin network, and just want to make this bigger so that it just stays there as a caption for this diagram. So let's just call it the Bitcoin network. So let's say Anuj wants to send 1 Bitcoin, or probably Anuj wants to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita, right? So now Anuj can say, Anuj, using the software that he is running on his computer, he can say that he wants to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita, right? So that he can publish that transaction. I mean, when I say he is publishing the transaction, the software that he's running essentially does that. So using the software that he's running on his computer, he can publish the transaction to this network. Probably he can publish to this computer, he can publish to this computer, or he can publish directly to Nikita's computer. He can publish it to any computer that he wants in the network, because all the computers in this, we call it nodes. All the nodes in this network are interconnected to one another. So he can just publish broadcast to that network saying that, I want to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita over here, right? So, and then what happens is one of these computers will start verifying that this transaction is valid. So for this transaction to be valid, what we need to check is whether Anuj already has enough Bitcoins to send to Nikita. So when he says Anuj wants to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita, Anuj must have at least 5 Bitcoins. And if he has 10 Bitcoins, well and good, we'll send 5 to Nikita and he'll have the remaining change 5 Bitcoins. That's okay. But if he wants to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita, at least he must have minimum of 5 Bitcoins, right? If he has 4 Bitcoins, he can't send 5 Bitcoins, right? No, that's not a valid transaction. If you have 10,000 rupees on your bank account, you can't send 11,000 rupees to someone from your bank account, right? You can only send anything that's equal to or less than 10,000 rupees. So that's the same concept here as well. So, but yeah, so let's say Anuj is trying to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita's computer. Going forward, I'll call this node. So from Anuj's node, if we are trying to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita's node, then we need that transaction to be validated. So there can be, we have Madan, we have Amar, we have Vivek, and there is my node, which is connected to the blockchain. So one of these computers or one of our nodes will try to verify or validate this transaction. So what should eventually happen is that everybody should have the same copy of the database. So in this case, so let's say Anuj has 10 Bitcoins to start with, and he's trying to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita. So essentially what was the record at first was every computer had that entry saying that Anuj has 10 Bitcoin, right? So, and then when Anuj wants to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita, so the balance will be 5 in Nikita. So let's say initially Nikita had 0 Bitcoins, and then Anuj sent her 5 Bitcoins. So in this case, Anuj is left with 5 Bitcoins. He started with 10 Bitcoins. He sent 5 to Nikita. Anuj is left with 5 Bitcoins, and Nikita is left with 5 Bitcoins. So every computer needs to have that record saying that Anuj has 5 Bitcoins now, and Nikita has 5 Bitcoins. Madan's computer need to have the same record. Nikita's computer has the same record, and Amar's, Vivek's, and this. Every computer that's connected to this network needs to have the same record of transactions, right? No matter how many transactions happen, the same order or the same number of transactions should be in everyone's computer, right? So when this is the case, so let's say I have Anuj just sent 5 Bitcoins to Nikita, Madan had 2 Bitcoins, he sent 1 Bitcoin to me, and Vivek had like 7 Bitcoins, he sent 3 Bitcoins to Amar, and Amar sent probably 1 more Bitcoin to Nikita or something. So we have all these transactions. So all these transactions, the same copy of all these transactions are present in everybody's computer. So let's say if Amar had 2 Bitcoins and he sent 2 Bitcoins to Nikita, and if he's trying to send 2 Bitcoins again to Anuj, right? So once he sends 2 Bitcoins to Nikita, he's technically left with 0 Bitcoins, right? But if he tries to send 2 Bitcoins to Anuj, whoever is trying to validate that transaction will not be able to say that this is a valid transaction because Amar has no Bitcoins left. So essentially in a network like this, when you're trying to send any transaction, it takes some time. In blockchain, if you want to finalize, so we'll come to what is a block and what is a blockchain, essentially a chain of blocks and all that. But yeah, I just want you guys to understand that this is technically what comprises of a blockchain network. So it's a network of computers running a decentralized and a distributed database software. And this software, provides you all the services like, your signing keys, your wallets, holding your private keys and signing your transactions and things like that. Everything happens through this software, right? But there are different variants and versions of this software. If someone is trying to run, the Bitcoin wallet software, we just call it the Bitcoin client. So they need to have all the transactions that are there in every other computer as well. So it has to be the same copy of transactions in every node. When I say computer, it's a node. Any computer that's connected to a network is called a node. So that's why we refer to them as nodes. So all the nodes in a blockchain network have the same copy of all the transactions, right? In this case, nobody can cheat. So let's say I have 10 Bitcoins. I try to send 10 Bitcoins to Nikita, and I try to send 10 Bitcoins to Madan. So if I try to send 10 Bitcoins to Nikita, the transaction would succeed and my balance would be updated as 0. But if I try to spend the same 10 Bitcoins again and try to send it to Madan or someone else, the whole rest of the people in the network would know that this guy does not have enough balance now. He's trying to spend the same 10 Bitcoins 2 times. So we are going to, invalidate. We are not going to pass that transaction, right? Nobody who is trying to verify the transaction will say that this is an invalid transaction. So that's pretty much a glimpse into what exactly are the components in a Bitcoin network. And there are a lot of things, a lot of disciplines in play to make this work. There's a lot of math, there's a lot of cryptography, there's a lot of economics and software and things like that are making this possible. But we'll definitely talk about each and every aspect of blockchain from a technical standpoint in depth later on. Let me close this out. But yes, so this is the basic idea of what a blockchain network looks like. So blockchain is a network of decentralized and distributed database software. Probably we can just call it is a network of computers running decentralized and a distributed database software. Okay, how do I wrap this text? I don't know. I don't want to spend a lot of time. I don't know. Is there a way to text wrap? Okay. Okay, that's much better. But yeah, is there a way to text wrap things? Okay. Harshit has a question. How do I create a blockchain wallet? Yeah, Harshit, we talked about creating wallets in one of our previous sessions. Definitely you can go take a look at MetaMask.io if you want to start creating a wallet for the Ethereum blockchain. There are a lot of other wallets for the Bitcoin blockchain, for Solana, for Algorand, and all kinds of different blockchains. But MetaMask is one of the widely used wallet softwares for the Ethereum blockchain, right? So you can definitely go and take a look. So what is Manticore? So Madan has a question. What is Manticore? Just quickly open that up. Trail of bits, yeah. So Manticore is a symbolic execution tool for analysis of smart contracts and binaries. So what happens when so let's say you're using Solidity or you're using a language like Viper to write your smart contracts. So these smart contracts need to go through analysis for all kinds of different bugs and all kinds of code that can cause issues, right? So Manticore is a tool that helps you analyze your smart contracts that you write. So smart contract is nothing but decentralized application code that you write on blockchain, and this helps you analyze your decentralized application code and helps you find if there are any bugs or if there are any code that can expose any loopholes in your applications. So smart contracts and decentralized applications is a topic for another day. It's much more technical when it comes to it belongs to blockchain development and decentralized application development of side of things on the blockchain domain. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about Manticore, and we have a lot of companies which do audits of these smart contracts and whatnot. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about a lot of things later on as well. Okay, probably revert this back to, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just keep it that for now. Okay. Yeah, so good number of questions. Probably, I just want to take a minute and pause right here and let you guys ask if there is any doubts, or if there is anything that you guys need clarification on components of a blockchain network. So, yeah, if you're new to computer network, if you're new to computer software, it might be too much to grasp everything at once. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a basic picture on what are the elements or what actors are there in making up a blockchain network, right? So yeah, so we just have users who run these softwares in their computers, and this network takes care of validating transactions. All the operations of the network is taken care by the software. Just want to establish the fact that you guys don't get confused with what exactly this software is. If people just say this is software, you need to see what software runs that, right? So let's go to bitcoin.org and probably go to, let's try to running full. Let's just click on choose your wallet here, and next probably say desktop wallet. I need a desktop wallet. I'm trying to be a part of the blockchain on my desktop. Then click next. I'm a new user, so I don't know a lot of things about blockchains. So which criteria? This is optional. You don't have to do anything. You can just keep clicking next. So Electrum is again a wallet which is which is for the Bitcoin network, right? So you can download this. You can start using the Bitcoin blockchain. So it's going to give you, it's sort of equivalent to how you create an account, and then you just create a wallet. You get your address, and then you start signing transactions, start sending people anything that you like. So a lot of things that you can do. So if you want to participate in a blockchain ecosystem, if you want to do anything in a blockchain, you need a wallet software, right? So we talked about this, what are the elements in a blockchain network. We'll also talk about how these things are taken care of. So let's say if someone like Anuj is trying to send, has 10 Bitcoins and is trying to send 5 Bitcoins to Nikita, how this transaction goes through the network, and how exactly the transactions are signed by Anuj, how exactly the Bitcoin is received by Nikita, how exactly the transaction is validated by one of these guys running the network. We'll talk about all those things definitely. But yeah, I just wanted you guys to understand the basic picture of what exactly a blockchain network looks like. Madan has a question: what are the smart contracts? What is a smart contract? So smart contract is, so to give you like a basic answer to understand what smart contract does. So let's say in the Bitcoin blockchain, what you can do is you can, just like how we talked about just a few minutes earlier. So let's say Anuj wants to send 5 Bitcoins to you. That is a transaction, right? So transaction with, so there are certain criteria that needs to be met in order for this transaction to be valid, right? For example, if Anuj wants to send you 5 Bitcoins, he needs to have at least 5 Bitcoins in his balance, and only then this transaction will validate, right? And also he needs, this 5 Bitcoins should not already be spent. So things like that. So these are, certain criteria that needs to be met if Anuj wants to send 5 Bitcoins to you, right? So things of that sort are required for transactions to be valid. But what a smart contract does, a smart contract is nothing but just a sophisticated version of same thing, of conducting transactions. You can assume it to be how real world contracts work, right? So in real world, let's say, you want to So let's say your parents want to give you access or give you the ownership of whatever the property they have after a certain number of years, let's say after 10 years, right? So they give you a contract agreement. You and your parents enter into a contract agreement saying that, this is 2022, and after 2032, so and so property or whatever, if they have purchased the land, if they have purchased a commercial building, whatever it is, if they want to hand it over to you after 10 years, you and your parents enter into a contract that this property should be transferred to our son Matan after 2032, so and so date, right? So that's a contract. That's a real world contract. Now, there are a lot of contracts like that. You might have contracts with your with people who you borrow money from. So if you're trying to lend money to someone in your friend circle, you enter into contract with them. You draft an agreement saying that I have given my friend whose name is this, and I have given him 1 lakh rupees, right? I have lent him 1 lakh rupees, and he will be returning that 1 lakh rupees back to me after 12 months. So these are the terms of the contract. So you can assume smart contracts to be the same, but it's a digital version of the same real world smart contract, right? But it just runs on the blockchain. So in Bitcoin, we just have transactions. We just have transactions and account keeping. We just have records in all these computers' databases saying that this is the balance of each and every guy. This guy is trying to send so and so bitcoins to this guy, and this is the latest balance of all these different people and things like that. But in a smart contract, you can actually write code that handles all these different things that can happen in a blockchain. So when I say if you want to write have a digital version of the contract that we just talked about, if your parents want to transfer ownership to you after a certain time, you can code that into a smart contract, and this blockchain network is responsible for executing it. Nobody can stop it, nobody can enforce it beyond the terms of the contract. If there is something that needs to get to you after, let's say, 10 years, it'll if we code it in a smart contract, it will happen only in that manner. Nobody can you cannot get it before 10 years, you cannot postpone it or anything unless you change the smart contract. So smart contracts, you can think of it as real world contracts, but just a digital version that sits on a blockchain and is executed by probably like everyone on the blockchain. So what are the different types of blockchain? So there are just a handful of types. You have public blockchains, you have private blockchains, you even have hybrid or consortium blockchains. You can just definitely say the types of blockchain, and we'll get this list of blockchain. So there's public blockchains, there are private blockchains, or you can also call them permission blockchains. You can have consortium blockchain, right? So there are different types of blockchain. Some of the examples of public blockchains is the Bitcoin blockchain, where you can execute transactions. Anybody can go and start using the blockchain. So Ethereum, anybody can go and start doing things on the Ethereum blockchain, start doing transactions, start deploying smart contracts, do whatever they want. So that's a public blockchain, right? We have private blockchain. We have things like Hyperledger. There are things like Hyperledger Fabric. Oracle blockchain platform is again another private blockchain. So if there might be various organizations who want to just own the blockchain. So they don't want they don't want everyone publicly using their blockchain. They can just create their own blockchain, and then things like they can do a lot of different things. There are different use cases like supply chain management, and order management, transaction management, and different things when it comes to business and enterprise technologies. A lot of these companies use private blockchains. So there are consortium blockchains, which is probably like a hybrid blockchain, or it's a pre-permission blockchain where you get to select a list of nodes, who can manage or who run the blockchain, right? Who is probably like stakeholders of the blockchain. So things like that. So these are basically the 3 types of blockchain that you need to know. You go to any other blog, these 3 types will definitely be there. You look at public blockchain, that's one. So by the way, there are 4 types of blockchain. As I said, there's a hybrid blockchain as well. There's a public blockchain, there's a private blockchain, there is a hybrid blockchain, and there's you can consider that it's a mix of public and private blockchain, right? You don't have to get into the technical details yet. So of course, and you can go and read these articles. But yeah, there's a consortium blockchain, which is probably like a federated, pre-selected list of members that are in charge of the blockchain. They dictate the terms and operations of the blockchain. So that's a consortium blockchain. So there are different types of blockchain. Definitely, there's a lot of things that we can talk about when we talk about blockchains. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a glimpse of what exactly are the components of a blockchain, and how exactly each and everything will work on a blockchain and things like that. But yeah, I guess probably going forward in future streams, we will say, discuss about how each piece of the blockchain technology works, under the hood, right? So let's say we talked about this scenario where there's a transaction going on between Anuj sending 5 bitcoins to Nikita. How the transaction gets created, or how the transaction gets then validated, how Nikita receives Bitcoin at the end of the transaction. All these things, from starting to end, we'll definitely talk about the technical details of how those things will work. But yeah, I guess for this session, I think that's all I had for you guys. But we'll definitely probably do some sort of a Q&A where you guys can post any questions if you have. We'll talk about anything in general, not just blockchain. You guys want to talk about cryptocurrencies, you guys want to talk about blockchain technologies, different companies that are into blockchain, different Web3 technologies, we'll definitely do that. For probably I'll be live for another 14-15 minutes, till 5 p.m. IST. Madan asks, how does smart contract work? Yeah, smart contract, how do I say? We'll be talking about the Ethereum blockchain, when we start introducing smart contracts. But at this point in time, I think it would be really complicated for even me to explain how smart contract works, with just this technical understanding. And then, if you're still trying to understand how a blockchain system works in general, it would not be that easy. But yeah, I'll just try to put this in simple words as possible, just to satisfy your curiosity. So when I said all these nodes in the network take care of running the blockchain, so smart contract is nothing but just like your Bitcoin transaction, but it has code, right? So it has code. So let's say if you want an agreement between two users. So let's say Anuj has lent some money to Amar, probably like, let's say 10,000 rupees, and Amar wants to return it back after 12 months, right? So Anuj sends let's talk in terms of Bitcoin, right? We're talking about cryptocurrencies. So Anuj wants to send 1 Bitcoin to Amar, and Amar wants to return that 1 Bitcoin back to Anuj with some interest, right? 1.5 Bitcoin. Let's say it's a 50% interest in this case, which is really high. But yeah, to keep things simple. So what we can do is we can write code in a smart contract. Smart contract is nothing but a piece of code that enforces certain things, or changes the state of the blockchain based on certain conditions. So let's say Anuj sends 1 Bitcoin to Amar, and our the code that we write will be responsible for, let's say, signing the transaction, facilitating this lending between Anuj and Amar. And then, after 12 months, if Amar is trying to return 1 Bitcoin back, let's say Amar doesn't pay the interest, right? So the transaction won't go through. So if Amar is trying to, borrow 1 Bitcoin, and let's say he's trying to, place some other asset as collateral, we can code that in smart contracts as well. I mean, as I said, with just this, whatever I have explained now, it's really complicated even for me to explain how smart contracts work. But if we go into depth on how the Ethereum blockchain works, how it runs transactions, and how it stores smart contracts, and how it runs the code, so we have a lot of different things to talk about. So we'll definitely talk about smart contracts then. But yeah, thank you for the question, Madan. That was a good question. What are the languages used in blockchain? So there are two things. So if you're trying to develop applications on top of blockchain, so let's say Ethereum is a blockchain, if you're trying to develop decentralized applications, so there are certain different sets of languages that are used. But if you're talking about on which language the blockchains are written, it's a different question altogether. So we have languages like Solidity, we have languages like Viper. There is another language that's coming up called Fe, Fe, which is again used for writing decentralized apps for Ethereum. So I just want to let me Solidity Ethereum, right? We have a language called Solidity, which you can use to write smart contracts and decentralized applications on top of the Ethereum blockchain. So again, you have the Rust language, which you can use to write smart contracts on the Solana blockchain. So each blockchain has their own ecosystem where they support their own language, right? So Rust was a programming language which is well known from a very long period of time, and then Rust is something that you use to write smart contracts on the Solana blockchain. Solidity is used to write smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. So there are a lot of different things, right? So you can use a lot of different languages to write applications on top of a lot of different languages, blockchains. But yeah, if you're looking at what languages blockchains are built in, so Ethereum has a bunch of different languages. What language is Ethereum? Right. So is Ethereum in C++? So what languages to develop is used for Ethereum programming? So if you just look at these answers, you'll probably get some idea on what programming languages you use to build or implement the Ethereum blockchain itself. So this answer which says Ethereum was mainly programmed in C++, Python, Golang, and Solidity. Solidity is, again, as I said, the high-level language which you use to build decentralized apps. But yeah, definitely C++ and Golang. So there is a client which is standalone client for Ethereum, which is called GETH. If you go to geth.ethereum.org, you can get the Go Ethereum, official Go implementation of the Ethereum protocol. This is the Ethereum client which is implemented in the Golang programming language, right? So so Go Ethereum is one of the 3 original implementations, along with C++ and Python, of the Ethereum protocol. So there is a C++ client for Ethereum, there is a Python client for Ethereum, and there is a Golang programming language client for Ethereum as well. So GETH is the Golang version of the implementation. So what makes blockchain technology so critical? Yeah, so basically it all boils down to what are the use cases, or what can people do with blockchain technology. Since blockchain is, as I said, it's a decentralized and a distributed database software. Nobody can change things without others knowing. So let's say if Anuj has 5 bitcoins and he wants to modify this database, saying that he has 50 bitcoins, he can't create bitcoins out of thin air, right? If he does that, in all the other people's computer, it's going to say Anuj has 5 bitcoins. But if he's trying to change it in his computer, saying that he has 50 bitcoins, the transaction won't be validated by everyone else, right? So so this makes the database immutable. So nobody can go ahead and modify anything. So the immutability factor is one of the main things why people trust blockchain-based applications more. Let's say if something like, to give you an example, decentralized finance, or let's say if someone wants to create a blockchain system where you register land registrations, right? So let's say land registrations, there are a lot of issues with land registrations and property registrations when it comes to in real world. There are a lot of litigation issues. There's a lot of frauds and scams that go on because it's it's a traditional database system, right? So let's say you purchase the land from someone else. It's just a database entry in your government's system saying that, let's say Anuj sold this land to Amar, and this land now belongs to Amar. It's just a database entry, right? So, and then Anuj can still manage to sell the same piece of land to someone else. It's a lot of litigation issues that go on in the real world when it comes to land registration. So I'm just talking about one of the use cases. But what happens in a blockchain ecosystem is, so let's say we have a piece of land that belongs to Anuj, and if he sells that piece of land to Amar, now that piece of land just belongs to Amar. He can't sell the same piece of land to anybody else, right? So he can't, there's no double spending, there's no, double selling. There's no duplicating of items in a blockchain. Everyone would know that, so the transaction won't be valid. So if Anuj sells you that land, and in the blockchain, if it denotes that this land belongs to Amar, nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can change that, or nobody can modify that, right? So blockchain databases are useful in such use cases, but there are a lot of companies and startups that are researching in this area on how to leverage the blockchain technology to build applications for these use cases. But yeah, as I said, just people are trying to, since blockchain is a young technology, people are still trying to figure out how to do things in the best possible way. I hope that answers your question, Amar. What makes blockchain technology so critical? We need blockchain. I mean, blockchain is not an answer. It's not an answer for improving existing technology, right? So blockchain has its own set of use cases. You need to use blockchain for those use cases, but you shouldn't be thinking of blockchain as alternative to existing technologies. It's not. It's not a paradigm shift, right? It's just an enhancement and a better technology for some of the use cases that we already have. So you shouldn't be thinking of blockchain as an alternative. Things like insurance, things like, as I said, land and property registration records. Blockchain fits these use cases really well. So we should be using blockchains for those kind of things, payment systems and finance, decentralized finance and whatnot. So yeah, Amar also had a question: what is blockchain gaming? So we'll talk about that. Just a couple of lines regarding that. I would like to show you something called sandbox game. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure you guys would have already, at least most of you would have heard about NFTs. So NFTs is this blockchain application where you get to own your tokens, and they're non-fungible, right? NFT stands for non-fungible tokens, and it's mostly used for art, right? Most of it is, most of the efforts right now is going into making NFTs for art. So the same technology or the same application or the same methodology can be used to create. So when I say NFT art, it's just a digital ownership of art on a blockchain. So as I said, when I said nobody can double sell a same piece of land twice to two different people, it's the same thing with all this digital ownership. Digital assets as well. So if there is an artist who has made a painting or a drawing and he wants to auction it, and if someone buys the NFT of that piece of art, there can't be duplicate versions of the same art, right? So that's the use of NFT. So to put it in simple terms, it's non-fungible tokens. Fungible tokens are multiple tokens having the same value. So let's say you have a 20 rupee note and I have a 20 rupee note. You can exchange my 20 rupee note for your 20 rupee note, which means that the 20 rupee note is a fungible token, and it can be exchanged for some other copy of the same value. So my 20 rupee note has the same value as your 20 rupee note. So but let's say and it applies to any other 20 rupee note in the world, right? So, but let's say I have a 20 rupee note which is signed by probably like a celebrity, right? So I have a 20 rupee note, I got it signed from a celebrity that I like. So now the note that I have is still 20 rupees, but I can't exchange it for a 20 rupee different 20 rupee note that you have, right? Because my 20 rupee note now does not depict the same value as your 20 rupee note or any other just plain old 20 rupee note, right? So in which case my 20 rupee note becomes a non-fungible token, means it's not fungible. It cannot be exchanged with another 20 rupee note of the same value, right? Because the value of this 20 rupee note where I have, let's say, the favorite singer or my favorite actor signing on it, it gives it a different value. So there is no other 20 rupee note in the world to match the same 20 rupee note that I have, to match the value of the 20 rupee note that I have. So basically making it non-fungible. Fungible means fungibility, means that you can exchange for a different piece, for a different copy of the same value. But non-fungible tokens is, this is a token, I have a token, but there is no other token that you can exchange it with, because there's no other token which depicts the same value. So that's NFTs. So blockchain gaming also works on the same thing, meaning that today, if you guys are into gaming, just post on the chat what are different games that you like to play. I play a lot of games online. I play a lot of multiplayer games on PC, a lot of story-based games and things like that. I would definitely love to know what you guys play. If you guys are into gaming, and if there are any gamers in the chat, feel free to post what games do you play. But yeah, in traditional gaming, in games that we have today, let's say you buy a skin for your character, right? Let's say you buy a clothing item for your character. So if that game shut down, if that game shuts down, then you don't get to use that item. You don't have access to that item anymore, right? But assume this. So let's say you bought a skin to your character, or you bought a cosmetic item to your character, and now it is registered on the blockchain. Even if that game shuts down, or even if you decide to not play that game anymore, you can sell these items to different people who want those items in the game, because these are represented as tokens on a blockchain, right? So let's say you have a character and you bought a cosmetic item. Let's say you bought a T-shirt for your character in a game, right? And now this is registered on a blockchain as an NFT, saying that this T-shirt belongs to Anuj. Now now you get bored of the game, you don't want to play it anymore. But the assets that you have bought, you can easily sell those assets to different people. Now, if someone else buy the same T-shirt asset from you, they can use it on their character instead of whatever the money you spent on it going waste, right? You decide to stop playing the game. You decided, you think the game is not fun for you anymore. All this money that you spent, it's just so it's waste of your hard-earned money if you don't have the ability to sell those assets or things like that, right? So that's what blockchain gaming helps you do. And not only assets, it also helps you create an economy where people come together and spend money. There's a lot of behavioral finance involved and a lot of different aspects to it. We'll definitely talk about blockchain gaming and GameFi, which is the combination of gaming and decentralized finance. Gaming plus DeFi equals GameFi. We'll talk about that as well in one of our future sessions. But yeah, for this session, I hope you guys had fun learning about the basics of what are the elements in a blockchain. And we'll probably do future sessions where we talk about much more technically deep things about how blockchain technology works under the hood. But yeah, my future plan is to make more sessions where we learn about blockchain tech in general. We learn about how to develop applications for blockchain and how we can have or explore career opportunities becoming blockchain developers and whatever specific niche that you want to pursue under the blockchain umbrella. But yeah, I guess probably that's all from my side for this stream. And I'll probably see you guys in the next stream. And until then, take care. And I hope you guys have a good one. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you in the next session.